In the previous lesson, we talked about the psychology behind phishing attacks and why they're so effective at manipulating human behavior. Now we're going to look at what happens before a phishing email ever reaches your inbox. This lesson is about target selection and reconnaissance, how attackers choose their victims and gather the information that makes their phishing campaigns convincing. It's important to understand right here at the outset that not all phishing campaigns are created equal. There are two fundamentally different approaches. Mass phishing campaigns cast a wide net. Attackers send millions of generic emails, hoping that even a tiny percentage will click. These are the poorly written Nigerian prince emails, the generic "your package is waiting" messages, the broad "verify your account" requests. The attacker doesn't care who you are. They're playing a numbers game. Spear phishing campaigns are different. These are targeted, personalized attacks aimed at specific individuals or organizations. The emails reference your job title, mention your colleagues by name, discuss projects you're working on, or reference recent company news. These attacks have much higher success rates because they feel legitimate, familiar, and relevant. The difference between these approaches is reconnaissance. Mass phishing requires minimal research, maybe just a list of email addresses. Spear phishing requires extensive intelligence gathering around targets. Spear phishing is so dangerous because the more an attacker knows about you, the more convincing, obviously, their attack becomes. Hey Bob, how's your wife? Is your daughter Sarah doing well? How was your last vacation down there in Vegas? If I send you a generic email saying click here to verify your account, you might be suspicious. But if I send you an email that says, hi Margaret, I noticed you recently connected with Bob on LinkedIn. I'm working on the water well project initiative, and I wanted to share this document with you. That feels different. That feels more legitimate often because it contains specific, accurate information about your professional life. That's the power of reconnaissance. It transforms obvious phishing attempts into messages that bypass your initial skepticism. Now, social media, that's a reconnaissance gold mine, the single biggest source of where attackers find information about you. LinkedIn is particularly valuable for attackers targeting professionals. Your LinkedIn profile typically contains your current job title, your company, your location, your work history, your skills, your connections, often your email format. Attackers can see who you work with, who your boss is, what projects you've posted about, and what professional groups you belong to. But it's not just LinkedIn. Of course, Facebook reveals personal interests, family relationships, vacation plans, and life events. They can really hit your emotional core if you're participating in that kind of social media. Twitter shows your opinions, your communication style, and what topics interest you. Instagram reveals your lifestyle and daily routines. TikTok might show your workplace or discuss your job. Attackers don't even need to hack anything to get this information. You're publishing it voluntarily. You might be like, not me. Well, a lot of you are publishing it voluntarily. It just depends on what your feelings are about social media. Beyond social media, attackers mine company websites for organizational information. Most corporate websites have staff directories, leadership bios, press releases about projects and initiatives, contact information, and organizational charts, org charts. Press releases are particularly useful because they announce new hires, promotions, partnerships, major projects. An attacker can craft a phishing email referencing a recent announcement, making it seem timely and relevant. Your job title might make it obvious what project you're working on. Public records provide additional context. Business registrations, property records, court filings, and professional licenses are all publicly searchable. For high-value targets, attackers will invest quite a bit of time in building comprehensive profiles using every available source. So not everybody knows, but past data breaches are reconnaissance tools. When a website gets breached and user data is stolen, that information ends up in databases that attackers buy and sell. These databases contain email addresses, passwords, usernames, phone numbers, security questions and answers, your mother's maiden name, your first pet's name, your favorite teacher, your favorite movie, your favorite book, your favorite food, and sometimes more sensitive data like addresses or financial information. Attackers use this breach data in multiple ways. First, they can attempt credential stuffing. We'll cover that in detail in section 2 of this course. Second, they can use the information to make phishing attempts more convincing. If an attacker knows your email address was in the LinkedIn breach, they might send a phishing email pretending to be a LinkedIn security person. You can check if your email has been in known breaches by visiting haveibeenpawned.com. Most people are surprised to discover they are in multiple breach databases. Nowadays, a lot of us are just like, we know that all of our information is already out there because there have been so many breaches lately. Once attackers identify target organizations, then they want these email address formats. Most companies use predictable patterns. First name dot last name at company.com, first initial last name at company.com, first name at company.com, and so on. Attackers use email permutation tools that generate likely email addresses based on employee names found in LinkedIn or company websites. They then validate these addresses using email verification services or by sending test emails and monitoring delivery responses. This allows attackers to send emails to employees who are not listed on public websites, expanding their target list significantly. For sophisticated spear phishing campaigns, attackers map organizational structure to understand reporting relationships and communication patterns. They identify who reports to whom, which departments interact frequently, who has authority to approve requests, and who has access to sensitive systems or information. This organizational intelligence enables business email compromise attacks. You'll sometimes see that as BEC attacks, BEC attacks, business email compromise attacks. An attacker might impersonate a CEO emailing the finance department requesting an urgent wire transfer, or impersonate an IT manager asking an employee to reset their password. The attacks work because the organizational relationship makes the request seem legitimate. Attackers pay attention to timing. They monitor company news for acquisitions, layoffs, leadership changes, or system migrations, all events that create confusion and make employees more likely to trust unusual communications. They launch campaigns during busy periods when people are distracted, during holidays when security staff is reduced, or immediately after announced changes when employees expect new communications. Context matters too. If your company just announced a new HR system, expect phishing emails about migrating your account. If there's a publicized data breach at a vendor you use, expect phishing emails about securing your information. There's a relevant quote from Sun Tzu's The Art of War written over 2,000 years ago. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. This ancient military wisdom applies perfectly to phishing reconnaissance. The attacker who knows everything about you while you know nothing about them has an enormous advantage. They can craft attacks specifically designed to exploit your circumstances, your relationships, and your vulnerabilities. But when you understand that attackers are gathering this intelligence, when you know what information they're looking for and where they're finding it, you can defend yourself more effectively. You can choose to limit what you share publicly. You can recognize when information in an email could only have come from public sources, and maintain healthy skepticism even when emails contain accurate details about your life. Let's think about what you can do to limit an attacker's ability to research you. First, audit your social media privacy settings. Do you really need your full employment history, current projects, and colleague relationships visible to the public? LinkedIn has privacy settings that limit what non-connections can see. And then think carefully about what you post. That vacation photo reveals when your house is empty. That tweet about a frustrating work project reveals organizational information. That LinkedIn post celebrating a promotion reveals your new responsibilities. And use different email addresses for different purposes. One for social media, another for online shopping, a separate one for important accounts like banking. This compartmentalization limits how much information attackers can connect together. Fourth, be suspicious of communication that reference public information about you. Yes, someone mentioning your LinkedIn profile or referencing a public post might be legitimate, but of course it might also be an attacker demonstrating they've done their homework. The uncomfortable truth is that you probably have a much larger digital footprint than you realize. Information you posted years ago is still searchable. Photos you're tagged in reveal reveal your social circle. Check-ins reveal your routines and favorite locations and interests. Attackers have tools that aggregate all of this information automatically. They can build comprehensive profiles in minutes, not hours. It's not a lot of work for them. They can see patterns you don't even realize you're creating. This doesn't mean you need to delete all social media and disappear from the internet, but it does mean you should be thoughtful about what you share, and most importantly, understand that everything you post can be used to make attacks against you more convincing. It's like risk management. You only want to take risks that you know you're taking, and if you choose to accept those risks, that's your choice. But you can't manage a risk you don't know exists. One more important point, reconnaissance is not a one-time activity. Attackers continuously monitor targets for new information, changing roles, organizational changes, and fresh opportunities. If you get promoted, start a new job, or announce a major project, attackers will notice. They're watching for exactly these transitions because they create opportunities for convincing pretexts. Now that we've discussed a little bit about how attackers select targets and gather intelligence, our next lesson will go into how do they use that information to craft convincing phishing messages. We'll review some specific techniques attackers use to make fake emails look legitimate and grow our understanding of why even security-aware individuals fall for well-crafted phishing attempts.